Nothing good happens overnight. Anything overnight that feels good, don't trust it. You know, the thing about that term wild is I have to compare it to my whole life. And when I was coming out of the street, the next thing was the music business. So to me, everything in the music business was so much calmer than the street. The worst thing about me with tour was my friends were still in the game. And a lot of times, sometimes we pull up the shows and like the feds or the cops would just pick them up. Or we'd get off a plane and the feds would pick up a friend of ours. The weird thing is we would go on with our day like, damn, that was fucked up, but then keep moving. You know what I mean? We're like used to it. And having to tell everyone that I was affiliated with, you know, if you're still in the game at all, I'm going to make you hot. And having to stay away from people I cared about. You know, the things that impressed me when I was younger don't so much impress me so much now. You know what I'm saying? So I could, you know, it's like the dumb shit that we were doing I don't even want to talk about because I'm embarrassed. But you got to remember, like, when you have success relatively young, you're relatively young. So you're going to do young shit. So, you know, most people when they're teenagers, most people, you know, they don't have the access and the resources to move around the country and to be on stage and have people like, you know, actually pay to just see them do what they want to do and be creative. You know, half your brain's not even developed yet. So having success when you're young is fun, but when you reflect, you'd be like, I wouldn't do a lot of those things as an adult, especially knowing that you're going to lead by example. So it's like almost everything that I did when I was younger, I wouldn't advise people to do. It helped me because I was able to learn from the pain. But as a generation, if I went through the pain, why would I want anybody else to go through it? So, you know, my approach is like as far as touring and organizing your career, I would approach it different now. You know, I would start with the show before the record. You wouldn't even record until you've performed your record. You know, some people have this misconception, especially people that aren't in the game. When they're first starting, they're like, I want to wait for the record to get hot before I perform. I mean, that's a preference, but that's not how it goes. In recording, for me, I'd be like, damn, I'd see people write and go in the booth. And the first time they said it is what they're laying down. And to me, I would be like, why not practice that? Like, why not perform it and get to, you know, everything and then go to the studio? I started to approach music in more of a creative, artistic way and respecting a process. And process means everything in being creative. But this is the artist talking. You know, years ago, I was only about the money. Spending time with an artist made me realize that I am an artist. And I wasn't meant to be worried about the money. I was programmed to be worried about the money. But my instincts made me protect the artist. My mindset shifted in 2005, around the time when I was done with Roc-A-Fella, because I just saw how what was perceived as success was affecting friendships and affecting what I loved was the love that, you know, we had amongst each other as brothers. Money started becoming before the love. The epiphany sort of came when I just noticed that I didn't feel good when I was going to work every day. I wasn't looking forward to my fight. I really wanted to raise my daughter, Ava. I wanted to spend time with her. I saw how much time I was losing with Boogie. And just logically speaking, I was just like, this block is done. I'm ready to do something better. You know, for me as a person, I need to grow 10 or 20% a year like a business, which means every year I have to look for a way to expand my mind and my horizons. So I'm always looking for something new to do. Like, I'm not the guy that's going to go to the same club every single Wednesday for 10 years or 5 years or even 1 year, not even 3 weeks straight. You catch me for 2 weeks, you even did really good. You know, I like to go to new places and do things that I haven't done before. You know, see, to me, our life is given to us. We don't choose it. And some people get stuck. Someone was born there, you know, you were born there because that's where your parents were, and maybe because of your economic status, you stayed there. But that don't mean the rest of the world doesn't exist. That doesn't mean that there isn't other lives to choose from. And in order to know what life that you really love, you got to go experience different things. So that's why I've always made it a point to go live in China, or go live on a farm, or go live in London, or go live in Florida, or go live in LA. Because I want to know which life I like the best. But I won't know unless I experience or live in Wyoming. I'm going to make the choice of what life I want. No one's going to give me or tell me what life I'm going to live or what river I'm going to smell for my whole life. It's just not going to happen. We're programmed into thinking we should be controlled that way. But I just think I just become aware of things a little bit quicker, and I believe in my feeling, not what people tell me. I trust my gut. My main purpose in life is to take care of my family and my children and to be happy, and to make sure that my kids don't have to feel the same exact pain, be stuck in the same cycle that I had to break. And then with that, once I can make myself and my family strong, then comes the culture, because I can't help nobody unless I can help myself. So in this point in my life, I think leading by example, and I've showed you what it looks like to be a businessman. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like when the businessman becomes a creative. You could still monetize it. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't monetize anything but what you love doing, or else you're cheating yourself. You're exploiting yourself when you do something solely for money. Because money is something that man created, not God. God created love. So if God created love and man created money, which currency am I going to fuck with first? Which currency am I going to believe in? Which currency am I going to say makes me a man? Money don't make you a man. The way you love is what makes you a man. The biggest misconception of Dame Dash is that Dame Dash gives a fuck, because he doesn't, which was the first principle. Don't care what other people think. Care what you think, as long as you're not hurting anybody. The thing that keeps me motivated is my children, and love, and things that make me happy, and laughing. Just maintaining a certain lifestyle for me and everyone I love, keeping that bubble. Because no matter what's going on in another world, in my world is always consistent. We be chilling, big chilling, and fresh. If I could run into the 16-year-old version of myself, I'd give him kudos, a high five. I'd say you was right. Keep fighting. But don't trust dudes. Kick the dudes. Look what my life is. Like, I don't regret not a damn thing. I'm having a ball. For me to ever think or regret anything that's going on in my life based on where I'm at would be disrespectful to every opportunity that's been given to me. I've had an extraordinary life. I'm having an extraordinary life. I'm able to smell my roses while I'm alive. You know, I get to see generations of people and what my work has done. Just, you know, when I walk in the street now, they don't even talk about Roc-A-Fella at all. They talk about what I was talking about last week, what I did yesterday, and what I'm talking about doing, and how I'm helping. Not what I'm about to do, what I'm doing. You know, I'm trying to teach people how to dream, because that's what we don't do. We're taught that survival is a dream. The dream is to survive. That ain't no dream. And that's a whack dream if that's a dream. Dreams are not, they don't cost $1. So why would you dream cheap? And if you don't have a dream, then someone's going to give you a dream, and that's going to become a nightmare. So why not make the script for your life and write a happy ending? You got to know what you want. You don't just let life come to you. You got to go to life, but you got to know your purpose. Life with no purpose is not a life. That's why people be depressed, because they don't know what their purpose is. I don't know what life would be like if I had no dreams. And I'm a guy that's been dreaming since I was a kid, and that's why my dreams have been coming true. What you've been seeing have been my dreams. You're seeing my thoughts that have become tangible things that are now a physical reality, but they started as a thought. But if you ain't thinking, then your life ain't going to be nothing but blank. You're going to be taking pills to try to get away from that feeling. Find your purpose and make it something you enjoy so much that it never feels like work. Like when I make a movie, I could work for 2-3 days straight. My girl worries about me. I'm having so much fun that I don't get tired. You have a certain amount of hours to film. How quick do those hours go? Especially when you know overtime is going to be time and a half. Them shits go so quick. You want time to go quick? Do something you love. That shit'll speed. So I remember 16, I'm like, that shit was yesterday to me. I've been having so much fun the whole time. What people consider downs are really ups to the average person. So I'm still the average person. Breaking the social class first generation, nothing better than that. Doing it young, surviving it. That's the trick. A lot of people don't get past their 20s when they make it when they're young. It burns them out. The advice I'd give somebody that doesn't know their purpose is to go be creative. Go enjoy something. Whatever makes you laugh, make a living doing that. And if nothing makes you laugh, go get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. That means you don't know how to care. But before you go out to care about somebody, you got to know how to care about yourself. If you feel anxiety, do some push-ups or run a lap. What I do is I write everything every day. I visualize one dimension, I write another dimension, then I make it happen. If I can write it down, it can happen. I say this all the time. People just don't know the power of their brain. They've been taught not to. They've been taught to let somebody else, to depend on somebody else. They make you think the government is supposed to pay for all your shit. It's not. You're supposed to pay for all your shit. You got to figure out how to be self-sustainable. And for me, it's like, I know how I want to live. I hate going places and not controlling that environment and being uncomfortable. The only way to do that is to architect your future. Like I said, somebody might have a script that contradicts yours, but y'all going to be in the same space at the same time. You got to make sure you get the lion's share of that time and the lion's share of that fun. There's a yin and a yang in every situation. You could be on the bad or good side. You got to find the good side. There's a bad side, just stay away from it. See, I tend not to look at the bad side because that's what will be manifested. That's the last thing I visualize, and that's the last thing that's going to happen. The shit I hate the most is when I'm dreaming, somebody to jump in my dream and tell me why and what and the reason why it might not happen. Get out my dream. Go dream your own dream. There is no reasons why my shit won't happen. It's happening. I dreamed it. Leave me alone. Don't listen to nobody. If your dream don't scare nobody, then it's not a dream. It means it's happened before. Do some shit that hasn't been done. Have some fun. That's what I like to do. I like to do new shit. I don't like to follow. I like to lead. That's all I know. I've been born a boss, so I don't know how to think in any other word or vibration or any language other than in boss. So when we talk about movies, I can't talk about making the movie. I got to talk about having a movie company, which will mean I'll make my movies. But at the end of the day, I'm owning that shit. Everything comes from a boss perspective. Any kind of plan I have is a boss plan. I never make a plan to work for somebody. That is not a dream. To me, I ask me, what's your dream? To get hired by a big firm? To get hired? How could that be a dream to have somebody tell you what to do for money? You don't mind having somebody tell you what to do for big money, even if you don't like it? What'd that make you? So if you're doing it for money, to me, you're going to be destined to be unhappy because money don't have feelings. Love does. Money, you can't feel money when you die. But when someone dies, you still feel them. Love transcends all dimensions. So my focus is love. The money is man-made. It's a distraction. Anything man-made, anything that was made 1,000, 100 years ago, is always meant to control the masses. That's my rule of thumb. It was always meant to provide order for those that don't know how to provide order for themselves. I'm not one of those. And I will not be. I'm aware of it because I'm thinking of it from the people that make the rules, not the ones that follow them. If I made rules, what rules would I make? Not if I follow rules, what rules would I want? In business, they'd be like, you burn bridges, and I'd be like, I do them on purpose so I can never go back. To me, it's like the ocean is behind me. If I go back, I drown. I can only go forward. That's it. Whatever has to happen, we got to work it out. Because I don't know what's going to happen. I know what I want to happen, and that's what I try to architect. I know there might be some things I need to brace my face for or, block. People will throw punches, don't mean it's going to land, and don't mean they're not going to get hit back. There's no losing. It's just fight till you win. I don't even know what that losing thing, I don't even know what is that? What's losing? What's scared? What do those words mean? I don't even want to know the definition of them because I don't want to feel them. If you don't learn from a loss, then that's what it is, a loss. You have to turn it into a lesson. Then it becomes a plus and not a negative. So again, that's where that yin and the yang comes from. So to me, I'd be like, oh, I probably would have lost more. I'd rather learn it now than later. When things don't go my way, it doesn't mean that I won't try again. And things rarely don't go my way over and over again. So it might not go my way one time or the second, but usually the third or fourth. Like the first time I put out a record, or the first artist I put out, it wasn't Jay-Z. It was Original Flavor. It was the Future Sound. So I had to go through the Future Sound, Original Flavor. I had record deals with East, West, and Atlantic. Only thing that's ever worked for me, ever, is when I do it independently. God doesn't want me to get rich a different way. So I even tried it the traditional way. I had record deals, regular ones. You got to think about this. I shopped Jay-Z, and every single person said no. Kevin Liles said no. Rick Rubin said no. Sylvia Rome argued with me about this dude. The only thing I could get for him, traditional, was a single deal with Patrick Moxie. So it was like, yo, these dudes are dumb. This is how you know corporate's dumb. They did not sign Jay-Z. You want to know how they really dumb? Look at Kanye's. No one would sign Kanye. Think about that. So that tells you never to listen to corporate. Both of those, both of them, no one would sign them. Back to back. Stupidity. He had beats with everybody on Roc-A-Fella, and he still couldn't get a record deal. So that tells me that the God is like, bruh, how many times I gotta tell you, do it yourself. When does it work out? When somebody does it for you. You know, the process of doing shit with corporate means literally getting paused, butt-ass naked, and then letting some lame tell you your body's whack. And you get back dressed and leave. If I had to pick 3 keys to my success, it would be number 1, never be embarrassed. Never care what people think other than the people that you care about. And sometimes you can't even fucking care what they think. Never be embarrassed about what you really feel and your truth. Always prepare. Always prepare like your life depends on it. And if you want to be a professional, compare yourself to your competition. Look at what they're doing. And if you're not doing at least as much as they're doing, then you'll never be able to beat the people that are already winning. And don't expect anyone to give you something, because it doesn't help them to give you something. You're taking their position. You got to take something. Take it. Stop waiting to be given. Don't wait to be given something. And don't stay on the same block too long selling the same drug. You're not inspired if it don't get you high no more, because you should be using the drugs you're selling. And do something else and find another drug. But I'm not saying drugs. I'm saying, parallel example. Trying to speak in a different lingo so everyone understands. The thing about teaching is not everybody speaks the same language. So, I might say one thing to one person makes them feel good. Them same words may trigger somebody, some kind of unrecognized trauma, because we all go through different things. So you have to know how to speak to people. If you play video games, I'm going to talk to you in video games. If you play art or you paint, then we talking in art. If you sell drugs, I'm going to talk to you in that too. It's just language. Don't hate your enemy for playing better than you. You got to admire your enemy when they outsmart you. Just don't let it happen twice. But I be looking at shit like, I'm like, damn, the way they got the culture controlled is clever. I'm not mad at them. They're in survival mode. They're scared. I'm mad at us for going for the gaff. And also understanding in today's time, everything is different. So racism is going to be different. It can't be so overt. It has to be in a way of trolling. So look out for it in that way. And colonizing will be different. So Web3 is a new world. It's a new kind of land. So you can't let them control the narrative there and make it think that we got to buy it from them. We have to make sure we put our stake in that world, and don't let them translate it, because they won't put it in the language that makes us comfortable to learn. Our people have to translate the new things to our people in the language that we know they understand. And don't be mad at people because they ask questions or because they're trying to give you some kind of advice if they've done something that you're trying to do. I don't say, it's hard for me to say listen to people that haven't done shit. If someone's done something, just because you don't know why, if it doesn't make sense, if you respect them, do it anyway. Some people don't listen until it clicks. That's not respect. Respect is when you listen when you don't understand it. But you better really respect somebody if they're doing it. But, that's what it is. If you want to know more, then you'd have to come see me speak or go to my television network or look at one of my movies or listen to one of my records, and you'll learn in whatever language. I'll meet you in the metaverse. I'll meet you on a record. I'll meet you on a painting. I'll meet you on some clothes. Whatever language you want to speak, I'll talk it to you. I'm part of something called the OSGs. It's 200 Black Principles and more. It expands every day all over the world. Number one, I do a Zoom with them every Tuesday about entrepreneurship so that they could teach the kids entrepreneurship and how to dream, so on and so forth. And then they all get together on Thursdays and just talk about what the Board of Education isn't doing so that we could do it on our own. Because if we stick together, we could do anything. And I feel these principles need to be celebrated because those are the ones that's fighting for us and not even trying to get any credit because they're just trying to survive. And those should be the ones that we consider our superheroes, the ones that are working when they don't have to, the ones that are teaching our future, which will soon be our present and will be teaching their future. We got to make better parents by teaching them as kids. And, that's where I'm at with it right now. As far as concerns go, I call them my biggest awarenesses because I don't like to be concerned. That's how you manifest shit. But I'm aware of stuff, so I make sure my children know what to do and what not to do. So daughters, don't trust dudes at all. They're all going to do is tell their friends. I'm a hater. I break all codes of dudes when it comes to my daughters. I tell them everything that a dude is going to do and what they're going to say when the girl's not around and what they want, why they want it, the whole nine. For my sons, if you get with a girl, make sure, ask her how her relationship with her father is. Because if she has daddy issues, you're going to pay. It's better to have a girl with a balanced, parents, or else you deal with all the issues that, because what happens is when you love somebody, you're the only one that'll listen to their problems. So they take out everything they don't say to somebody else that's bothering them. You catch all that shit, they overreact. And you don't want to be that person to the person you love, and you don't want to be the person that receives on the other end of that. So I know where the happiness lies. The hardest thing with my children is for them to even listen to me. So the shit that I say that people really appreciate, it's like they've heard it so much they're numb. They almost want to do the opposite. So having your kids listen to you is my biggest challenge, is my children. My biggest concern is my kids don't listen. That's my biggest concern. That's the thing I'm concerned about. They don't listen to me, period. Country's always divided. That's going to be an algorithm. Nothing's new. It's a funny time, I don't know where America's going because right now there's a battle for a narrative. And I think the ones that were losing culturally were us, and we're a lot smarter now. So, I think that the world would be a better place if more of us were landlords. And not just for us, but for everybody. See, a lot of people don't know what it feels like to be the boss. They don't know what it feels like to own something and to be able to make rules. Just think about it. If you could make the rules, what would they be? And they would probably be fairer than the rules that exist now. I'm curious to see because for the last 3 generations I've been speaking, no one's been listening. But this generation does. I'm being celebrated now where I wasn't before. I was being ridiculed before from my perspective because everyone was scared. They wanted to be in survival mode. They didn't want to mess up their position. They looked at other people as the plug, other cultures. Now we know that we are the plug. Now it's cool to be independent. A lot of people think like now it's crazy. Nah, when it was slavery, it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? When you had to sit in the back of the bus and people was getting water hosed, now that was crazy. A lot of the injustices that we see now, that shit was happening all the time. Imagine what the world looked like before social media, when no one could tell the truth. This is, to me, the best time. See, like I said, there's that yin and the yang thing. So currently there's some bullshit going on, but when currently wasn't there some bullshit going on? You know what I mean? So it's always going to be bullshit. Always. Never think the world's going to be a perfect place. Never think the world won't be divided. Never think there won't be challenges. When that happens, you're in heaven. It means you're dead. You know what I'm saying? But until then, understand that everything is a test. Stop fucking complaining and just figure it out. That's it. Don't be concerned. Matter of fact, embrace every challenge. I'm not concerned. I'm looking forward to it. When you brace your face, it's way easier when you get hit. Acting like shit's supposed to be sweet and crying every time things don't go the right way, that's not the way to look at things. Just compare your existence to what it looked like before. Think about before there was a dentist. How did we live then? Before Novocaine. You know what I'm saying? What did life look like before you could go to before air conditioning, before toilets was in the house, before electricity? You know what I mean? We have so many, we don't have the challenges that our forefathers came up with. All I know is they worked so hard it would be disrespectful to think this time is so much worse than before. Get that leather on your back and be called a name like Kuta Kinte and then talk about is the world crazy? So I don't look at it. I just compare now to before. It's a lot better than it was. Wasn't a black president ever before. Wasn't a black vice president, woman. A lot of different things. Whatever they're doing, whether they're doing it right or wrong, in our black brain, we never thought there could be a black president. My kid will never, ever have to deal with that. So I remember being 8 years old and being like, I could never be the president. I'm black. They'll kill me. It won't happen. And my teacher validating that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, why has it only been a white president? They were saying there only should be a white president. That was the perspective. That's what the teachers were telling me. That's why I didn't listen to him. I was like, I should be the president. I'm the coolest nigga in the world. And if you're going to be the coolest, if you're going to say you're the coolest in the world, be the coolest. If you're worrying, you're not the coolest. Because of my upbringing in survival mode and all the problems that I dealt with and survived very eloquently, any problem in corporate world just won't bother me. And I don't want to be around anybody or respect anybody unless they actually own it. To pretend that you're bigger than you are is a psychological overcompensation. It's a bluff. And I don't get controlled with bluffs. You got to show me your gun. Pause. Because of my upbringing, it's fucked up traditional business for me completely. I never came from a place of, I'm so appreciative of this opportunity. And I was never a person that was a victim. Neither was anyone in my family. We always victimized the people that were victimizing people. We always bullied the bully. We looked forward to the tough guy trying to act like that with us. So when I see soft people that don't own nothing trying to tell me what to do, and I'm in the room where I own something, I'm like, yo, where's your boss? Let me speak to your leader. And they don't have one. So then, I can't be in a room full of fake motherfuckers at all. And especially when they're trying to get me to exploit my culture so they can make some bread. You know what I see in the boardroom a lot? People that are tough in the street acting soft and subservient. And that shit breaks my heart. And I've seen it over and over again. The traditional boardroom's not for me because most of the people in there don't own the company. So we've made a different kind of board. Only owners. Only people that are fighting for love. I'm redefining what the new corporate is. Anybody that's part of the old corporate and the mentality that comes with it is not invited to this corporate. Stay over there. I don't want to ever try to fit in. I'm about building my own. The advantage is that nothing bothers me because I have street problems. So if I can be cool around people that are killers and kidnappers and I ain't got to pick up a gun around them and we cool, why would any of these lames ever scare me or any problems that come with them? So the problems that most people panic about, to me, are a luxury. I'm like, these are good problems compared to this is like, if I was in the street saying that, I might get sued because I got all this money and this, that, and third, and as long as there ain't no jail involved and my health is good, this shit is like being in a movie to me. Like, I know what I survived. And it makes you appreciate things, Like, I was lucky enough to be in the street and not have to deal with a jail cell. At least not for too long, but like a weekend or two, and had nothing to do with the drugs. But, some people have to learn from having freedom taken from them. And the crazy thing about freedom is it's free, but it's priceless at the same time. See, there's that yin and the yang. And nobody appreciates it till it gets taken from them. The things that you care about the most, you don't even know you care about the most. Imagine someone just took your toilet. You don't think nothing about having a toilet, but when that shit break, the world sucks. But when the air conditioner break, you take it for granted when it works. But when you don't have it, you do anything to have it when it's hot. So I just don't take nothing for granted. I don't try to have a loss or lack of something to actually enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it while I got it. So I celebrate everything every day. No problems. I don't have time to celebrate problems because that's not a celebration. As far as Web3, in this very moment, it's a war for narrative. And we don't want the creators to lose control, which on a little level they already have, but there's a fight going on immediately. So usually what happens is you get tricked for a couple of years, and based on experience, you're like, yo, we getting raw. And I think in the first 6 months, so many corporate tricks, even racist narratives, all these different algorithms, meaning life algorithms, the pattern of trying to colonize things and make people think it's not theirs and it's yours when it's really not. I see it all happening in the web. And what I want to push is for the creative to be able to be profitable, which gives them power, and for the creative to be able to be as creative as they want. So I don't want to see a static of a monkey that's not even an original painting of a monkey be the biggest thing and the ambassador of Web3, because it will turn my generation off and my culture because it's a triggering symbol. And I know that if a racist actually has one of those monkeys, they're laughing at us. I'm not saying everyone that has one is, but I'm saying that one is, they're definitely finding the fun in this. And for me, it's an algorithm. And I don't like it. They're tricking us into believing making fun of ourselves is aspirational or represents some sort of wealth. That's the test, for $1 million where you put a monkey on your chest. I see the TV, the film, the music, everything that has to be tracked going to Web3 because there's full transparency at Web3. And a person like myself that wants to do a lot of things, if you get with the right partners, like I just got with Network for the land because they can do so many things, they have utility. So anything I want to do that in Oxygen World might cost millions of dollars because they already have it and it's already existing, I could take the white label and put my shit there. In Web3, your dreams can come a reality a lot cheaper and you can make a lot more margin. And it's pandemic proof. So if you have a business model right now that's not pandemic proof. See, entertainment is recession proof, but it's not pandemic proof if people have to be in the room. And it seems like every month there's a new funky disease, another pox or a vid or some shit like that. So it wouldn't make sense to have a new business model that doesn't entail a plan where you can exist and still be profitable without having to come outside. And Web3 can do that. You could buy stuff, and anything that you have in the real world, the perception of it, it's going to be the same exact thing, or if not more, in web. So imagine having an avatar, and your avatar is going to another fashion show. You got to have on new clothes. And if you got to drive up to something digital, that shit got to be something that's updated and brand new and trippy. And also your taste in digital. It's another level of your taste, of showing your point of view. So before you showed your point of view in art, you showed your point of view in music, in fashion. Now you have to have a good taste in the point of view in digital. What's your digital taste like? Pause. You know what I'm saying? That's where Web3 is going. People have to kick the perception of me and of me being a businessman. I'm a starving artist that fights for my creative process every day, and I'm just willing to pay for it. I've been doing that for the last 15 years. Like I said, if I was a businessman, I have so much more money. The thing is, I won't do anything for business. I'll do anything for art. And that sometimes isn't ultimately immediately profitable, but, once people recognize it, then it becomes really profitable. But you don't waste any time because you enjoy yourself every second. So I become a director, a designer. I'm the lead singer in a rock group. It's creativity for me all day. And then, people like to hear me talk. So I'll do that too. I'm a rock star, bro. And my approach on everything is rock star. It's funny when you see somebody that's a rock star on stage and a lame behind a desk. It doesn't work that way. Can't turn off your rock star. My opinion and my approach on things and my taste is the same in everything that I do. And I enjoy being creative, and I enjoy being unapologetic about it. And I enjoy the people that come with being creative. I like being around creative people more than I like being around people that only care about money. It's the difference between bottle service and just shutting the club down. My opinions on things and the things I feel, the things I talk about, all of that translates to everything I do in my network with my collectives. And I'm proud. So in this very moment, completed, ready to go to market, I have children's books, I have magazines, I have comic books, I have dramas, I have comedies, I have docuseries, I have albums, I have musical albums, every album's musical. I have musical movies, short films. I got the clothing lines to go with the movies that are in the comic books. This is one staff that does all these things, but it's also profitable. You know, there's these collectives and nobody makes a fucking dollar. That's just a hobby. But making a living out of love, that is the trick, and that's an art within itself. Like I said, there's a Dash NFT gallery opening in the metaverse and on Network. And I have my first project with Wildin', and that's a musical art project with the Black Guns, Billy Pablo III. A cool way to sell art and music at the same time. We have the new app launching, Theme Dash Studios, American New. And you'll be able to, before it was a subscription. That doesn't work, it's free now. And you'll be able to get art, you'll be able to get movies, you'll be able to get, magazines, music, everything that I'm talking about there. It's like going to be a mall. But again, it'll be free. Me just being on the road is brand new. I ain't been outside in about 10, 15 years. So, now that I have a real product and that reflects my point of view, it's time to go outside. It's just like getting elected. You can't get elected over the internet. You got to shake some hands, and I want to know the people that are buying my product. And also I'm looking for partners. A magazine, American New. We have the children's books, Dusko Goes to Space, a new franchise with a short film that comes with it. We got Stoned, a movie I shot in 6 days on Kanye's ranch. And I got my own ranch. Somebody was asking about that. After I shot that movie, I bought my own, or rather the company, Rocky. We got The Prince of Detroit coming out. It's a movie, a series, a drama. The movie might be a television series, but it's a true story about black lineage and what that looks like from Detroit, family and healthcare. Yeah, we have Dead Weight, the comic book, which will be a movie. We're going to shoot the movie when I'm off the road. So we got so much. I got a couple other things I can't talk about because, if the deal happens, it'll be really good for everybody. But if it doesn't, we'll keep moving, we'll keep pushing. This is the gear from the movie The Prince of Detroit. These are the CEO socks. This is the connect that you need to plug me with. I bought these, and again, it's just being creative in every single dimension that I think in. I think in a lot of dimensions. Well, this was more Tommy's mindset from The Prince of Detroit. He just sold his company for $120 million, so it kind of reflected the movie. But, yeah, I think the thing is, I'm so confident it's never a risk to me. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I step in the ring, I'm knocking you out. You can't tell me nothing different. If you get in the ring thinking you might get knocked out or there's a chance, then you already got knocked out. I think bet it all, it would be a Harlem more term. High risk is probably more of a Detroit thing. But for me, it's bet it all every time. Bet the bank. I always bet the bank on my art. The experience of making College Dropout, I wasn't with Kanye when he made it. He just would bring back heat, and we wouldn't be expecting it. And, when he broke his jaw at first, he couldn't fly, and he was like, send me a drum machine, and I did. And I couldn't even get it out of his budget because Lior and Jay-Z would not approve it. So we had to send the money and buy the shit ourselves and send it. When he brought back the record and made videos, we were just really shocked that someone was listening. When he started bringing Cootie and Shike around with the film, that's what I was doing. So what I knew about Kanye is he was humble enough to listen. And it's crazy how someone that you think with the biggest ego is really the most humble person I know as far as respect when it comes to me. He is the only person that has always listened to me almost to the letter or his version of it, the Kanye version of look at his business model. Look at the way he deals with corporate in a very independent way. With me was so many memorable moments with him because everything he did was a surprise to me. And that was inspiring. So I'd be like, yo, because for me, it's like whoever want to hustle with me, because nobody going to hustle or out-hustle me. And he was down for that challenge. And he actually ended up out-hustling me because I got tired and I just started to love other things more than the business, like my family and the time that needed to be spent with them. So even now I'm on the road, but I can't, if it's more than 2-3 days, the whole family got to come. And it better be worth it. And also, I've architected my world, not to get off the Kanye, that when I do something, my girl is selling a book and a short film, and I'm selling a movie and a comic book. So we're doing things together. There's a bunch of shit with Kanye, man. I mean, there was memorable moments with him in the last couple of years. But College Dropout, I mean, bringing them to, okay, I'll tell you one. So I brought him to Sundance to perform. I was doing that movie, Pause, The Woodsman. Kevin Bacon, Patti LaBelle's performing. Lee Daniels bought Patti LaBelle. Nobody knew who Kanye was. So he comes through, he's rapping, and nobody's listening. And he's like, cut the music. Y'all don't know who I am now. You gonna know who I am. I'm Kanye. Cut it back on, start rocking. And I love that about him, you know? And then, you know, that whole weekend, I remember we were coming from being like on one of our tours, and we do this thing where we don't sleep. You're not allowed to sleep. And we just was listening to his album. No one had heard it yet. And we were just on the ski slopes because we had the house on the ski slope. And we just was listening to the album over and over again. I knew that he was going to be our end in the bigger pop world because as of yet, they wasn't giving that to us because he was safe. I remember the thoughts I was having about the future when I realized his power and the fact that he really didn't give a fuck. I remember taking him to London and just being like, yo, jump on the table and rap. And he would just jump on the table and rap. You know, just on a logical level, who wants to be around a bunch of sweaty dudes all day? But, you know, I find that men, by nature, resent other men. Pause, I think it's the testosterone. If you treat a woman with respect and you help them make their dreams come true, they'll do anything for you and they'll celebrate you. And they appreciate the things that men don't. And that probably men shouldn't. So, you know, I feel that dudes that run around with dudes just must be insecure or scared of something. And I'm not scared of nothing. So I just don't see the logic in wanting to be around, you know, beard instead of baby hair. You know what I'm saying? And also, women inspire me. You know, I'm never going to I'm always going to make sure I'm dressed well because there's beautiful people around that I care about opinion. And they're just more fun. I just think girls are more fun to be around. I like to keep things around me or people and my environment. I don't like to be triggered. And, you know, I'm easily triggered. So the only time I could get aggressive with a woman is when I'm aggressively trying to push them to make their dreams come true. But other than that, it's just not respectful, you know? But dudes, it's just like you have to get physical. You know, a dude could be a pit bull, and a pit bull, you know, they just cool when they feel like it. But when they don't feel like being cool, you know, you got to be, if you're leading a bunch of dudes, you got to be ready to fight any one of them at any time. You know, imagine the crew I was leading. Think about it. Beanie Siegel, Jay, Cam, you know, all these guys, the whole state property. Who wants to be the toughest guy in that crew? You know? So when you're the leader, and it's the same way of a pack, people challenge you. They want to be the leader. As a man, you want to be the leader of the pack. So the person closest to you is the person that wants your spot. As they should. What man doesn't want to be the boss? And I'm always the boss. So who wants to walk around with a target on my back all the time? And then women smell better. You know, they care. They do yoga instead of lifting weights. You know what I mean? It's just, they like to paint, take pictures. And, you know, I like the conversations that girls have. Dudes always talk about how tough they are and what they did. Girls always talking about, things that inspire them. And, shit that makes them happy. Because they don't talk about dudes around me. Because I don't want to hear nothing about no other dude. Because they're usually stupid. Dudes are stupid to me. You know what I'm saying? They're just very insecure. Most dudes, to me, want a mommy and have that expectation. The dude that does Dutch, that to me ain't a dude. But that's just how I feel. I'm a gentleman. So overall, it never feels like work with my crew. We always have fun. I just have to deal with girl problems. And I'm cool with those. Because I don't care about a dude's problems. A dude with problems is like, man, keep that shit to yourself. I'm not your girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? But a girl, you're like, listen, you care. You want to protect. I think you can't be a king unless you don't deserve a queen unless you know how to be a slave for a queen. Or you can't be a king unless you know how to be a slave for a queen. That's what makes you a king. No disrespect to any dudes, but that's just how I see things. And yeah, Governor, he's emotional support as well. It's like, how mad I'm gonna be? I got a cute dog, a puppy, and babies, and butterflies. I've seen enough rough stuff. I don't understand, like, coming from the street and wanting to go back. If you was really in the street, you don't want to go back. You want to help. But nobody wants to be in a place where you have to keep one eye open and act extra tough and insecure and be around a bunch of dudes. And even, especially I'm 50, but like, even when I win fights, I hurt my knuckles. Every fight is a loss. You're going to sacrifice something. It's just, they might be banged up more than you, but you do bang yourself up, administering pain. Every one of my knuckles is broken. And both my feet been broken. All my toes. Just from fighting. A failure is when you quit. Then you're a failure. But when you do something for the first time, expectation of doing it right is not realistic. So you can't look at a learning experience as a loss. It's like thinking when you go to the gym, you're going to work out one day and you're going to have muscles. And then you're going to call it a loss if you don't. Or if you hurt yourself or something. You got to come back and do it over and over again until you're good at it. Nothing good happens overnight. Anything overnight that feels good, don't trust it. I think the number one lesson is not to worry. What's going to happen is going to happen. Why not just look cool? You know what I mean? Why panic and yell and get all that, So I think the lesson is to breathe easy. The lesson is the more you prepare for your future, the less it's going to cost in the future. And I want people to see their thoughts through. People really don't like to think. If there's someone in the room that'll think for you, they'll give you that alley-oop every single time. If there's an equation that needs to be solved that you could think through, but, you could just ask somebody, I'm that guy that everyone asks. Dumbass shit, too. Like, you could have figured that out. Just because my mind moves quicker don't mean your shit move at all. It means you should fucking work on your mind. Read some books. There's workouts for your brain. There's workouts for your heart and your soul. There's workouts for your organs. There's workouts for your muscles. There's all kind of workouts, So what I'm going to work out is I like the fact that when I'm a certain age that I can move around like I'm young. But that was an investment when I was young. So it was like I got to eat right. I got to start working out now so I have muscle memory. Because I always visualize what I'm going to look like. So right now I'm like, what am I going to look like when I'm 85? I'm going to try to look like what I look like now. How I'm going to do that? Got to eat right. I got to do a certain amount of working out. I got to get a certain amount of rest. That's just architecting the game. And instead of sitting around worrying about being old, I'm working on not being old by doing and working out and eating right and doing what I need to do. When you're chipping away at your problem, you feel good. Thinking down at your problem means you're not attacking it at all. So too much worrying, too much thinking about the past, not learning from it, but worrying about it, that's a waste of time. Listening to people you don't know, just doing things because other people do them, that's a mistake. Anything the masses are doing, they're doing because everyone's doing it, and somebody's profiting. So you look at who's profiting and see if they're doing what everyone else is doing. I bet you they are not. It's funny, I know people that own big restaurant chains. When I go to their house, they don't eat their own food that they sell to other people. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at things. If I'm not eating the things I'm selling, then I wouldn't, if the person that's making it not eating it, or if the person that's making it that not wearing it, if you making movies you're not watching, then you're exploiting. I ain't gonna give you nothing that I don't like myself or love. Everything that I sell is an extension of me. So that's my advice. Don't lie. Sell what you love. If you don't love it, walk away, even if the money's there. There will always be a test. There will always be money. All money is not good money. You can't enjoy the money if you can't enjoy spending it. If you got to spend it alone. If you're sick while you got it. None of that shit, that means you're not profitable. Fun is the profit. And you should have fun taking care of the people you love. And it shouldn't be a task. You should enjoy it. That's how I look at it. Or I equate it to this. Imagine working really hard, selling drugs, doing something illegal, and really working hard, putting your heart and soul into it. And finally, you got millions of dollars, but you get locked up and they put you in a box. Are you rich? Your money's outside, but you inside, even if they don't take it. In life, if all your dreams come true and you become wealthy and you break any social standard that you wanted, but you're sick, a sick person in the hospital bed looks just like a poor person in the hospital bed. They both have lack of health, and that is the wealth. I'd rather be healthy and not have paper money than be not healthy and have a whole lot of paper money that I'm too weak to spend. And trusting people you don't know with your food. Trusting the person that's trying to oppress you to feed you. Like, the one thing we all got to do is eat. So that's a very big business. So you eating food from people that are just trying to make money off you, you think they care about the food they're giving you? And food, or food that's alive goes through so much stress and it's so dirty and rats run over you. I mean, it's just not trustworthy. So it's not logical, but we're programmed to think that regardless of what, if it tastes good, we're supposed to put it in our mouth, chew it, swallow it, and let it take 2 years to come out your body. I just think, again, anything that's been pushed on us has been pushed on us not to behoove us, but only to control us. So just don't trust it. You got to eat organic. And people be like, oh, my grandmother ate this and that. Food was different 100 years ago. It wasn't as dirty. It wasn't as GMO. The life expectancy just went down another 2 years. It's like 72. I'm like, I'm not doing that one. I'm not that average. And I'm diabetic. I'm going to do what I got to do to stay healthy. I just know what I like and what I don't like. I don't like hospitals. So I'm going to do what I got to do to stay out of it. If it's just a tweak and an adjustment in my food and an hour or two a day of not being on the gram but being in the gym, it would be foolish, logically, for me not to take that path. And whatever was telling me in my body to take a different path, get that thing out my soul, out my mind, I'm not listening to that. I'm only going with the math. Health is wealth is everything. In order to have control, that means everyone has to be doing the same thing. When I go to a regular airport, I see a lot of lines and people being told what to do. There's a certain order. And if there wasn't any order, there would be chaos. For me, thinking like a boss, I'd be like, if I'm making money off a lot of people, we have to figure out how to control them. How do we control them? Well, first off, let's take them from their parents. Because the parents love them the most. They're going to teach them the best shit. Let's take them from their parents and make them sit inside behind a desk 8 hours a day while the sun is out, away from your parents, because they got to work just to survive. And let somebody that has not actually making a lot of money try to teach you how to make a lot of money, but really they're teaching you how just to get a job and get used to sitting behind a desk. And then when you go home to see your parents, they tired, you tired, y'all go to sleep. That's not the worst plan. And I'm looking at it makes perfect sense. I say to myself, why does a jail, a courthouse, a school, and a hospital, why do they all look alike everywhere? Like, why is the lighting the same, the texture of the walls? Why? It's intentional. And then we're intelligent. We evolve. Look at the things we've created and done. So we see a pattern happening over and over again, the same cycle, and it doesn't stop, that's not an accident. It has to be intentional. So you don't look at who's losing from it. You look at who's winning from it. And that's who's making the rules. And that's logical to me. We're all being controlled. And everyone needs to understand that. It's like in politics, the Democrats and Republicans, but they all supposed to be fighting for America. Now, if there's something I'm fighting for and it's good, and I see somebody else fighting for it, I am not going to ever disrespect them. I'm going to figure out how to fight with them. No matter what, if there's division, nothing can get done. So division in itself is created so that we as a culture will, and as a race, human race, don't evolve. Can you imagine if the government had a device that could read everybody's mind? Do you think they would tell us? If the people that run the world usually run the world because they're getting money from the resources in the earth, like gas, which is what runs the world. This keeps certain kinds of continents very wealthy. If people don't use gas anymore, they won't be wealthy. So if there was a plan 100 years ago that worked, where you didn't have to pay for electricity, you could pull it out the air, do you think they let us know? They didn't let us know because Tesla told us that a long time ago. So we've already known there could be electric cars 100 years ago. But whoever was in control was like, then they don't need us no more. We lose power. There's going to be a shift in power. You see, right now they're saying in L.A., they're not even going to let you have a gas car in the next 5 years. But I was trying to make electric cars literally 15 years ago with Malcolm Bricklin. And the reason why the industry didn't move is because they had to divest. They had too many factories that were making gas cars. So they'd have to lose money to make money. It took 15, 20 years. We're here. So my thing is, I suspect that we're intentionally kept dumb on purpose to be controlled, and there's a lot of shit we don't know that they're keeping from us, just based on what I've read, based on what I see now. Whatever I've been told, I do not believe, period. I'm definitely not going to believe a story somebody told me for 3,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago from any culture that was about controlling. I'm never going to trust a religion given to me by someone that's enslaved me. Or at least not that rendition of it. What I'm clear is there's definitely chapters in the Bible that were taken out. I know that. I know they kept people not knowing how to read, so they couldn't read the Bible, so people was telling them what the Bible said. They was lying. Logical. I just think of every trick that I could do if I was on that tip, and I know it's been done. Because I know what I would do if I didn't have morals. I know what I don't do because I do have morals. But it doesn't mean that other people aren't doing it, because I suspect most people in survival mode put their morals aside for self-preservation. Self-preservation excuses a lot of things to people, but not me. The challenge is to stay a man. Don't break the rules. Big L was a friend. You know, we grew up. Damn, like I didn't grow up on 142nd Street, but like my teen years, that was my block. You know, I'm from 1199, but I would call 142nd Street Lenox my block. He was from 39th. So we all knew each other. So like, it was like, you know, when someone gets into a business outside of the street, then you automatically get cool because like, oh shit, you from the, you know, that kind of thing. I see him. And he was always, when he was ahead, he was supportive. You know, it was around the time Cam and Mace and Bloodshed were all in a group called Children of the Corn, and I was managing them. And, you know, he had a single deal, and that was a big deal in the hood at the time. But it just never really popped off for him. So it was like when he was doing well, he would look out for us any way he could. And, you know, we ended up battling him on 139th Street, you know, because Sean Arnold was like, you keep saying Jay better than Big L. And Jay came and he said, he outside now. So he walked over there. And, you know, that's not a block you could just walk off sometimes. You know, it's an ill block. But it was dope. And when we finally got in position and things weren't going the way he wanted, he was going to come sign with us. So I remember seeing him on the block. You know, we kicked it. He had called, kicked it. And he was like, all right, let me know. And he was like, we going to do it. He was getting ready to make the announcements and everything. And he got killed. You know, at the time, you don't even know how, because his wordplay was crazy. His punchlines was nuts. You know, but like, I wanted to see him catch a hit record. You know, his battle game was nuts and his, you know, his freestyle. But the challenge, it was with the same thing with Cam. You know, it was like, oh boy, he caught that hit record. And we were able to take him to a commercial level. So that was going to be my challenge. But really like being able to work with a brother and help a brother, because that's the purpose. You know, it's so much fun when you have to like be somewhere that's foreign and you're with somebody that's from your block. And that's why I like Cam and I and, you know, the guys that I know from like, you know, Loon, you know, all that. We all grew up together. You know what I'm saying? And that was a crazy time. But there was a time before we was all famous that we were just kicking it. You know, we were kicking it for different other reasons. You know, Monster, Herb, right? You know, that's what we call him Monster back then from 39th. He ended up with LL. It's like we all ended up different places. Mace. We all grew up together. Vado. You know what I mean? Like, these are guys I knew on the block. He was younger, you know, but it's crazy how things roll out. Who ends up doing what? And who ends up being consistent. You know, like I said, I'm 51. I've been doing this since I was 19. I'm like Gary Coleman. So, you know, shit is crazy. You know, I think about it, I'm like, my whole adult life I've been doing this shit. I don't know no other life. Like when Biggie was going through it in LA, no one would fuck with him. And we was fucking with him. You know, that was our man. And that was the first time he was coming to hang out with us. And he came to the video set for Dead Presidents. And I got into a drinking competition with him. And, you know, he's about 200 pounds heavier than me. And if you look at the video, there's champagne bottles empty. And it was just me and him just going bottle for bottle. And it became a thing. Like whenever we met, we would have drinking contests. But I got too drunk. And this was, I guess, the first time we hung out. And the next morning, Jay was like, yo, you wasn't no good yesterday. And he never told me that before. Like, I didn't remember what happened. You know, like, what happened? I called Biggs. He was like, man, you was telling him he was your favorite rapper. And and it was like, so that night I went to the studio because we went to talk to business. I wanted to hire him to perform and have Jay open for him. And we handled our business then. And since that day, every time I would see him, we would have drinking competition. So, you know, when he'd be like, stink, mink, gators, da-da-da-da, that came from me and him having a drinking contest at Bobby Brown's, a concert at the Palladium, and we got to a drinking contest. And this time, I went and threw up behind the curtain, and he threw up on his mink. And they were calling it a stink mink from there. So, I don't know if that equates to a story, but those are 2 for 1. So here's a reasonable doubt story. Oh, here's another one. For Brooklyn's Finest, you know, Clark doesn't want to admit it, but even though he might have, I told him to loop that beat for that record. So I get co-producer credit. He hates that. But there was no hook for it. And it was the last record. And, you know, Jay wouldn't come to the studio to do the hook, so we had to do the hook. And Clark was trying to get me to be Jay-Z, Biggie, Small, nigga, shit. I was like, I'm not saying that. Get the fuck out of here. And that's why it's like Clark saying it. But, yeah. Here's another reasonable doubt story. There's a bunch of reasonable doubt stories. Every single record has a story. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a doc on it. How about that? From my perspective. There wasn't no video for Brooklyn's Finest. That's why I was pissed. Me and Cuff got into it like a year or two. Like, why you ain't clear that? That's why I wasn't fucking with Puff for a minute. Because I never understood why he wouldn't clear that video. But then we spoke about it and he explained why. I guess apparently we were in competition. I was like, I've never been in competition with you, bro. Yeah, it bugged that I knew Biggie. You know what I mean? Like, that bugs me out. That him and I were really good friends. My son really liked him a lot. He was a baby. He was a funny dude. I really loved his crew. I still do. We used to hang out like it was like we all knew each other for years. And it's still like that. So D-Rock and all of them, like, I really consider them C's. I consider them like my brothers. No matter if I don't see them for years, I really, like, all over the world, whenever we see each other, it would be like party. I just like they laughed as much as we laughed. They like to play as much as I like to play. Pause. You know, I like to make jokes. I like to laugh a lot. You know, it's funny. People be like, I always look mad and shit. I be like, y'all just don't know me at all. Because I think I'm the funniest nigga in the world. You see what I'm saying? I'm on joke time all the time. You know what I mean? If I'm not laughing, I'm not having fun. If someone's around me that doesn't laugh, they're not around me very long. Like, you got to have a sense of humor to be around me because I'm on joke time all day. And you can't be easily offended. You know, Biggie was an ill dude because he could rap and he was just a cool dude. Like, you know, he was funny. He was real funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it'd be funny who you would, like, you don't know who's funny. Like, LL Cool J is like a funny guy. Like, there's people that are like funny guys first. Like, I'm known as Dame's a funny guy. They know if you on joke time, I'm with it all day. So I tend to be cool with the guys that are like to joke. Because when guys like to joke, they don't get mad when I joke because they give jokes. You can't be mad if you joke and if somebody get a better joke to you. And I'm the better joke man.